Occupy until he comes. I always thought that was a military exhortation to forcefully take over, invade, grab, confiscate, that kind of thing. But that's not what Scripture actually says. So let's go into this and we will find out the business transaction you can get in on. It's a simple thing. You're going to go like that at the end of this video, I believe. And here we go. So it's not occupy till he comes as in a military campaign, a coup, a destruction to redo a country under your own vision. Nope. Occupy. I had to look it up in English first, and it, to me, was kind of wishy-washy, a very boring definition. And then I started to see occupy as in a philosophical kind of a thing, social movement, but still wasn't really getting into what I wanted to find out. And again, like the best thing I can come up with here is occupy, intend, employ, but that's too vague. Even here, cover and establish, to be established, that's not even good enough. Occupy, this is how I used to think it was, capture and conquer, but that's not the way the context is in the Bible on this concept. This is where I'm getting it from, Luke chapter 19, verse 13. Occupy till I come. That whole conversation, several times the disciples bugged him. When are you coming back? When are you coming back? All right, we got the idea, you're leaving, but when are you coming back? And he's trying to tell them, never mind about me coming back and forth. How about what you're going to do until I come back? This is all about you today. So for once, it's about you. What are you doing? So what does that G4231, that G4231 mean? What is that? I'll get to that in a moment. But it's business. That's why I like these other translations. You just rely on the King James and you don't dig into the original vocabulary, you're screwed, because you don't get the full picture. Everybody loves the King James. But sorry, honey, it's not always accurate to the extent we need it in our modern English to get the point, because I, for years, thought that was a military thing, and booyah, no it ain't. And when was ever a pastor going to get around to telling me? Same thing in the Old Testament. The other time the word occupy is used, Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 9, all about the business, buy and sell and trade, merchandise, being a business person until the end. And I'm going to go into the software and pop open all the vocabulary trail like I like to. But we're going to end the video with this concept of pledge. So please stick around. It's only going to take a minute. I'm not going to take forever in this video. I just want to boil back a couple things here for you. And in Luke, occupy, because that's Jesus talking in that historical recount. So G4231, to carry on in business, banker, a trader of something. Being accomplished. Oh, but here, a commercial transaction. A business matter, right? To exact tribute. To produce something. To make something. To constitute something. Right? So this exact tribute, revenue, debts, public business, that I'm going to get into that in just a moment. I'm going to go into the occupy used in the other time it's found in the Hebrew in the Old Testament, H6148. To pledge, and here's where I want to get into it. To pledge, exchange, mortgage. It's a primitive root, so right there. And this concept of pledge, a solemn binding promise, a security and guarantee, payment of debt, fulfillment of an obligation. So then I started digging into, okay, what does that mean at another level? In business dictionary, a pledge is a cash deposit or placing of owned property by a debtor, the pledger, to a creditor, the pledgee, as a security for a loan or obligation. The pledgee, the one already with the money, being able to give it out, has an implied right to confiscate and or sell the pledged property to satisfy his or her claim in case of a default. This is what's about to open your eyes when we dig into this pledge. Who made it and why did he do it? So we need to know better what's a pledge. And a pledge, different than other terms. On purpose, we need to know, why is he specifically saying he's going to pledge for us? A pledge is used when the lender, the pledgee, takes actual possessions of assets. Securities or goods are movable securities. In this case, the pledge retains the possession of the goods until the pledger, the borrower, repays the entire debt amount. In case there is a default by the borrower, you, the pledgee, Jesus, has a right to sell the goods in his possession, adjust its proceeds towards the amount due. Examples of a pledge are golden jewelry loans. We're going to get into it. Let me just show you the basic info first. The other two things that it describes, I'll leave on the screen a moment, so it gives you the opportunity to pause a nice clean screenshot if you want to study more. Here's the next vocabulary, the mortgage. But you do not want Jesus having a hypothecaution, whatever the heck that hypothecaution, I didn't even want to try to pronounce it, hypothecaution, whatever it is, you don't want him doing that, and you don't want him taking a mortgage out on you either. What you want is for Jesus to pledge on both sides of it. He's the pledgee and the pledgor, right? He's got it. And why? Because the possession of the security remains with the lender, and that's, of the three, the only one where the property remains with the lender, God. You don't want it to stay with the borrower, you. You want to transfer your loan to Jesus for him to become the new borrower. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You want to be pledged for, because you want God to retain ownership of you throughout the entire transaction, no matter what. Get Lucifer out of the business transaction. Kick him out of the way. Don't even do business with him anymore. This realm we're supposed to occupy, do business in, buy and sell and trade, use the money God gave us. We return the tithe of 10% back to him. It's a complete business transaction cycle, and we're doing poorly in our business. We're each a sole proprietorship, I suppose, or a franchise perhaps. We're all franchises of Jesus. Like we're a soldier in the army of God. You're a citizen in the kingdom of heaven. You are a franchise of the market solutions of Jesus. You're supposed to go into the marketplace and buy and sell under the business rules of Jesus. So it's not an occupation and invasion. I'm going to even delete that. And I don't like the wishy-washy term of occupy. It's sort of like this Occupy movement. Kind of like this Occupy movement, but from soup to nuts, mostly with our cash. because we really understand that, right? This fallen world, the only way you can really do things is barter, buy and sell. It even mentions barter. More screenshots. If I showed you more things, those two words plop back, and these business terms include barter. So being in the marketplace, and he summoned 10 of his slaves, gave them 10 minas, and said to them, do business with these until I come back. Or in other words, before he left, he summons 10 of his servants. He gave each of them an equal amount of money. He said to them, do business with this money until I return. Then he left. There's all kinds of parables in here about business transactions, about who's the boss and who's the underling, who's in charge and who's supposed to just follow directions and do it well without screwing up the plan. Experienced craftsmen from Gabal were on board. They caulked the seams of your ships. Sailors from many countries came in their ships to buy and sell goods with you, to occupy the merchandise. Buy and sell's good with you. It's a binding promise. Securities are guarantee of payment. Securities are guarantees of payment. Guarantees of payment of debt. That's you. How much do you owe God? You owe him so much. So much. A pledge. Sit for a few minutes and put your life in perspective of a contract. We've had a recent, in memory, still on the forefront of our social platform, it's still an issue in our country, the repercussions of owning slaves, buying and selling of a human body, a human soul. Well, on the supernatural level, for eternity, there has been a business transaction done with your soul. Jesus bought it. What are you going to do about it? God made provisions. The devil cannot be the pledgee or the pledger. You can't let him be either side of the business transaction. You got to boot him out. Jesus boot him out. Don't let him come back and sign his name on your contract anymore. Contract with the devil, we've been using that phrase flippantly forever. It's the real deal. That's actually what's going on. A pledge. A default loan potential. Is your soul bankrupt? Who's going to come collect on it? What bank is going to repossess it? Do you want the devil come collecting? Or you want Jesus come collecting? Think about it. Think about it. I'm going to put it up on the screen one more time. You can take screenshots and look at those websites yourself. Ooh-wee. Ooh-wee. All right, y'all. Here's your summary. Decide. I think the type of security, a pledge, fill in the blank. Who signed your contract? What are the terms of your contract? Bye.